Before the pyramids of Egypt towered over the desert, before the ziggurats of Mesopotamia touched the sky, another great civilization rose. A civilization just as advanced, just as powerful, yet far more mysterious. It flourished in the fertile plains of the Indus Valley, spanning what is now modern-day India and Pakistan. At its height, over 5 million people lived in its vast cities, which boasted revolutionary urban planning, sprawling trade networks, and a level of engineering sophistication that rivaled its contemporaries. Yet, unlike the Egyptians, whose hieroglyphs tell us tales of their kings, or the Mesopotamians, who recorded their laws and conquests in cuneiform, the Indus Valley Civilization has left us no readable words. We know they had writing. Thousands of inscriptions have been discovered, carved onto stone seals, stamped into clay and painted onto pottery. The Indus script is among the world's oldest writing systems, appearing as early as 2600 BCE, yet its meaning remains completely unknown. Despite decades of study, no one has ever been able to read it. Why? The biggest problem is that the script has no Rosetta Stone, no bilingual inscription to provide a direct comparison, like the one that allowed scholars to unlock Egyptian hieroglyphs. And unlike Mesopotamian cuneiform, which was eventually linked to later known languages, the Indus script simply vanishes after 1900 BCE, leaving no clear descendants. Even more puzzling is the brevity of its inscriptions. The longest known sequence is just 17 characters. Most are no longer than 5 or 6. This makes it extremely difficult to determine whether these symbols represent a full-fledged language or something else entirely. Was the script an alphabet, with symbols representing individual sounds? Was it logographic, where each symbol stood for an entire word, like Chinese characters? Or was it something different altogether? A system of pictograms used for trade and administration, rather than a true writing system? We simply don't know. And this is what makes the Indus script so intriguing. The Indus Valley Civilization was no minor culture. It was a vast and sophisticated society, trading with Mesopotamia, building massive cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and developing an advanced infrastructure that included covered drainage systems and water reservoirs, centuries ahead of its time. Every other major civilization of this scale, Egyptians, Mesopotamians, Chinese, has left us readable texts. So why is the Indus script still silent? Was it written on perishable materials that have long since disappeared, leaving us only these cryptic seals? Was it a language with no connection to anything we know today? Or, most controversially, was it never a language at all? For now, all we have are patterns. Symbols arranged in sequences, carved onto artifacts buried for millennia. A language frozen in time, waiting, perhaps one day, to be understood. The mystery of the Indus script deepens when we ask, what was it actually used for? When we think of ancient writing, we imagine law codes, royal decrees, epic poetry, full texts that document a civilization's history. But the Indus script, it doesn't appear in anything like that. Instead, we find it in strange places. The most common artifacts bearing these symbols are small stone seals, often featuring human figures, sacred animals, and geometric patterns, accompanied by a short string of Indus script symbols. These seals may have been pressed into clay or used as marks of ownership or trade authentication. We also find inscriptions on pottery, metal tools, and amulets. But nowhere do we find long texts, as we do with Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform tablets. This raises a major question. Was this script even a full language? One theory suggests that the Indus script was primarily used for commerce, much like the merchant marks found in later civilizations. The seals could have functioned like trademarks, identifying the owner of goods or serving as official stamps of approval. This aligns with the Indus Valley's vast trade networks, which stretched as far as Mesopotamia and Central Asia. Another theory proposes that the script was religious in nature, used in rituals, temple transactions, or as symbols of spiritual significance. Some of the seals depict figures that appear to be seated in yogic positions, possibly representing deities or religious leaders. If this is true, then the script might have been restricted to a priestly class, making it more of a sacred script than a widely used writing system. Then there's the possibility that the Indus script wasn't an alphabet or syllabary at all, but rather a logographic system, where each symbol represented an entire word or concept, like Chinese characters or ancient Mayan glyphs. This would explain the short length of inscriptions. If a single symbol could represent a full word or phrase, there would be no need for long sentences. But some scholars have taken an even more radical stance. What if the Indus script isn't a writing system in the way we expect? Some researchers suggest that these symbols might function more like modern pictograms, similar to the way we use road signs, airline baggage labels, or restroom icons today. These symbols convey meaning without being tied to a spoken language. If true, then the Indus script wasn't a written language in the traditional sense. It was a shared system of visual communication meant to be understood universally. But this theory raises a contradiction. If the Indus script were purely pictorial, why does it follow linguistic patterns? A statistical analysis of the symbols shows that they appear in predictable sequences, following patterns remarkably similar to spoken languages. Certain symbols frequently appear at the start of inscriptions, while others are consistently placed at the end, suggesting rules and structure, much like grammar. This strongly indicates that the script was more than just a collection of decorative symbols. So which is it? A trade language, a sacred script, a proto-writing system, or something completely different? The brevity of the inscriptions makes it difficult to answer. Egyptian and Mesopotamian texts contain long passages that allow scholars to break down grammar, sentence structure, and meaning. The Indus script does not. This is what has kept it undeciphered for over 4,000 years. It is structured like a language, yet frustratingly incomplete. One thing is clear. The people of the Indus Valley saw these symbols as important. They inscribed them on objects that were central to their lives. Trade goods, ceremonial artifacts, religious items. The same symbols appear across vast distances, suggesting a shared understanding among the civilization's people. But what that understanding was, we still don't know. For now, the Indus script stands as a challenge, one of the last great undeciphered writing systems of the ancient world. A puzzle with no Rosetta Stone, a story waiting to be told. And the key to that story might be hiding in plain sight. Throughout history, civilizations have left behind written records. Hieroglyphs on temple walls, cuneiform tablets baked in clay, inked scrolls that preserved laws, legends, and histories. Today we can read the words of the pharaohs, decipher the records of Babylonian kings, and even translate the earliest Chinese inscriptions. But the Indus script remains a mystery. This raises an unsettling question: why? Other ancient scripts were eventually deciphered. Egyptian hieroglyphs, one of the world's oldest writing systems, were unlocked with the discovery of the Rosetta Stone, a trilingual inscription in Greek demotic and hieroglyphs. Since scholars could already read Greek, they used it as a key to crack hieroglyphic writing, unlocking thousands of years of Egyptian history. For Mesopotamian cuneiform, the breakthrough came with multilingual inscriptions, particularly the Behistun inscription, which contained the same text written in 3 different languages: Old Persian, Elamite, and Akkadian. By comparing the known Persian language to the Akkadian cuneiform script, scholars slowly unraveled the secrets of the Mesopotamian world. The key to decipherment, then, has always been comparison, matching unknown symbols with known languages. But the Indus script presents an impossible challenge. There is no Rosetta Stone, no bilingual inscription, no ancient dictionary to guide us. Even worse, the inscriptions themselves are shockingly brief. The longest known Indus text contains only 17 characters. Most inscriptions are far shorter, just 5 or 6 symbols. In contrast, Egyptian hieroglyphic texts can contain thousands of characters. Mesopotamian clay tablets often feature entire paragraphs of text. These lengthy inscriptions allowed scholars to analyze sentence structures, identify grammatical rules, and link repeated words to common meanings. But the Indus script, it never forms full sentences, at least none that we can recognize. This has led some to question whether it even qualifies as a true writing system. Ancient writing tends to evolve over time, becoming more complex, developing grammar, expanding vocabulary. But the Indus script never changes, at least not in the way we expect written languages to develop. This raises a controversial possibility. What if the Indus script was never meant to be read in the way we expect? Some scholars suggest that the Indus script might not be an alphabet, nor a syllabary, nor even a logographic system like Chinese characters. So instead, it might have functioned more like modern pictograms of visual symbols that convey meaning without representing spoken words. So think of the way we use road signs, restroom icons, or hazard warnings today. They communicate information instantly, but they don't belong to any single spoken language. If this theory is correct, then the Indus script might never be deciphered in the traditional sense. But there's a contradiction. One that suggests the Indus script was a true writing system after all. Linguists have analyzed the frequency and arrangement of Indus symbols, and what they found was astonishing. The script follows statistical patterns that resemble real languages. Certain symbols consistently appear at the beginning of inscriptions, others at the end, just like grammatical rules in structured writing systems. So what does this mean? The Indus script appears to be linguistic, structured, rule-based, yet still remains unreadable. It is a paradox, a puzzle, a system that defies classification. And, unlike Egyptian or Mesopotamian writing, it disappeared from history without leaving a trace. If it was truly a language, what happened to it? Why are there no later scripts that resemble it? Did the spoken language of the Indus Valley survive in some form, even if its writing system did not? These questions remain unanswered. And until we decipher the script, the Indus Valley Civilization, a society as advanced as Egypt and Mesopotamia, remains without a voice. It's easy to dismiss the Indus script as just another unsolved mystery of the ancient world, a puzzle for historians to debate. But deciphering it could change our understanding of history itself. Other great civilization, Egypt, Mesopotamia, China, have left us detailed written records of their rulers, their laws, their religions. These texts are how we know their history. Without writing, civilizations fade into obscurity, their achievements reduced to ruins and artifacts with no context. The Indus Valley Civilization is the only major Bronze Age civilization without a readable written record. What does this mean? It means we know shockingly little about how they ruled, how they lived, or even what language they spoke. If we could decipher the Indus script, we could answer some of the biggest historical questions. Who ruled the Indus cities? Were they led by kings, councils, priest rulers? What laws did they follow? Did they have a legal code like Hammurabi's laws in Mesopotamia? What did they believe? Did they worship gods similar to later Hindu traditions? Or were their spiritual beliefs completely different? The implications of decipherment go beyond history. They could reshape cultural and political debates today. Some scholars believe that if the Indus script is deciphered, it may prove that the language was Dravidian, a linguistic family that includes Tamil, Telugu, and other South Indian languages. If true, this could strengthen the idea that Dravidian speakers were the original inhabitants of the Indian subcontinent before Indo-Aryan languages like Sanskrit arrived. Others argue that the script may reveal connections to early Sanskrit or Vedic traditions, supporting a different narrative about ancient India's linguistic and cultural evolution. Either way, unlocking the Indus script would be more than just a linguistic achievement. It could impact our understanding of India's deep cultural and historical roots. But there's an even greater possibility. What if the Indus script contains knowledge that was lost when the civilization collapsed? When we cracked cuneiform, we discovered that Mesopotamians recorded the world's first laws, scientific observations, even medical recipes. When hieroglyphs were deciphered, we found detailed records of Egypt's economy, religious beliefs, and engineering marvels. So what if the Indus script contains scientific knowledge, technological insights, or lost philosophies that vanished when their civilization declined? The stakes are enormous. Cracking this code could do more than solve an ancient mystery. It could restore the lost voice of a civilization that shaped the early world. For now, the words of the Indus Valley remain silent. But the challenge continues. The question is, who will be the one to finally break the code? For decades, scholars, cryptographers, and even amateur linguists have tried and failed to crack the Indus script. But now there's a new incentive. A challenge worth $1 million has been issued to the world. In January 2024, the Tamil Nadu government announced a $1 million reward for anyone who can successfully decipher the Indus script. It's a bold challenge, one that recognizes the script's deep historical significance and aims to inspire the next great breakthrough in ancient linguistics. But to win the prize, a researcher must prove their decipherment, demonstrating that the script represents a real language, providing a structured grammar, and translating a significant portion of the inscriptions with verifiable consistency. The stakes couldn't be higher. But this isn't the first time someone has claimed to be close to a breakthrough. Over the years, numerous scholars have put forward theories, only for them to fall apart under scrutiny. One of the most well-known figures in the field is Asko Parpola, a Finnish Indologist who has spent decades analyzing the Indus script. His research suggests that the script represents an early form of Dravidian, the language family that includes Tamil and other South Indian languages. Parpola has meticulously compared Indus symbols to later Dravidian words, searching for connections. His work has won acclaim, but without a bilingual inscription or extensive text to analyze, his conclusions remain theoretical. Then there's S.R. Rao, an Indian archaeologist who claimed that the Indus script was an early form of Sanskrit. His findings, however, have been widely debated, as many scholars argue that Sanskrit-speaking Indo-Aryans arrived in India long after the Indus Valley Civilization had declined. If true, this would mean the script belonged to a completely different linguistic lineage. And then there's Rajesh Rao, a computational scientist at the University of Washington, who has taken an entirely new approach. Instead of relying on traditional linguistics, he's using artificial intelligence. By applying machine learning algorithms, his team has found that the Indus script follows statistical patterns similar to spoken languages, suggesting it is indeed a real script and not just a series of symbols. But even AI hasn't yet produced a reliable translation of it. So what makes the Indus script so difficult to decipher? The biggest problem is the lack of context. When the Rosetta Stone was found, it provided a direct translation between Egyptian and Greek. When cuneiform was cracked, it was thanks to multilingual inscriptions that allowed scholars to compare words across languages. The Indus script, it doesn't have a Rosetta Stone, it doesn't have long texts that could reveal sentence structures or grammatical rules, and because it disappeared after 1900 BCE, there's no direct successor language we can compare it to. But could the missing key still be out there? Could an undiscovered artifact provide the breakthrough scholars have been searching for? Or has time erased the only clues we ever had? With $1 million now on the table, a new wave of researchers, linguists, and AI specialists have taken up the challenge. Could this be the final push that cracks the code? Or will the Indus script remain an unsolved mystery, taunting us from the depths of history? For thousands of years, the Indus script has remained a locked door, a language frozen in time, resisting every attempt at translation. But what if the key to unlocking it doesn't lie in the past, but in the future? Today, artificial intelligence is transforming the way we analyze ancient texts. In 2019, AI helped decode a lost language from the Bronze Age, recognizing patterns invisible to the human eye. In 2022, neural networks were used to reconstruct charred, unreadable texts from Pompeii. And now, researchers are asking, could AI finally crack the Indus script? One of the pioneers of this effort is Rajesh Rao, whose machine learning models have already revealed something astonishing. The Indus script behaves like a real written language. Unlike random symbols or decorative art, the script follows predictable sequences, just like natural languages do. Certain symbols frequently appear at the beginning of inscriptions, while others are consistently placed at the end, suggesting an underlying grammatical structure. But even with these breakthroughs, AI faces the same fundamental problem that human researchers do. It lacks context. AI can detect patterns, but it can't determine meaning without something to compare the symbols against. A machine can tell us that a certain symbol appears frequently at the start of inscriptions, but it can't tell us whether it means king, god, or trade goods. To overcome this, some researchers are taking a radical new approach, training AI models on ancient Dravidian and Sanskrit languages to see if any structural similarities emerge. If successful, this could be the first real breakthrough in understanding what the Indus script actually means. But there's another major challenge. Even if AI produces a potential translation, how do we verify it? When cuneiform was deciphered, scholars compared translations across multiple texts to ensure consistency. The same was true for hieroglyphs. Early translations were cross-checked until patterns became clear. AI might generate a hypothesis, but without long passages of text to test it against, verifying accuracy is nearly impossible. Even if AI does crack the Indus script, we may never be able to confirm whether it's correct. And that's the frustrating paradox of this ancient puzzle. We may be closer than ever to deciphering it, but still too far to be certain. Yet, as technology advances, the dream of reading the Indus script is no longer just a historical curiosity. It is an active, ongoing challenge. With AI growing more sophisticated by the day, and with a $1 million reward driving new interest, we are closer than ever before. The question remains, will AI finally break the code, or will the Indus script remain one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries? The Indus script is more than just an undeciphered writing system. It is a challenge, a defiant, silent enigma from an ancient world that refuses to yield its secrets. For over 4,000 years, these symbols have remained unreadable, guarding the thoughts, beliefs, and achievements of one of humanity's greatest early civilizations. Egyptian hieroglyphs were decoded. Mesopotamian cuneiform was cracked. Even the Mayan script, once thought lost forever, was eventually deciphered. And yet, the Indus script stands apart. The last major writing system of the ancient world that remains unreadable. So the real question isn't just how we might decipher it, but whether we ever will. Some scholars believe the answer is yes, that one day an archaeological breakthrough or a new technological innovation will provide the missing key. Perhaps a forgotten artifact lies buried beneath the ruins of Harappa or Mohenjo-daro, waiting to be discovered. Maybe an ancient bilingual text, a Rosetta Stone for the Indus script, exists somewhere in the Indus trade network, possibly in Mesopotamia, where Harappan merchants once traveled. Others, however, are less optimistic. What if the script was never meant to be deciphered in the way we expect? One of the most controversial theories is that the Indus script may not represent a full language at all. Some scholars argue that it could be a proto-writing system, a collection of symbols used for trade and administration, rather than a form of written communication. If this is the case, deciphering it in the traditional sense, matching words to sounds, reconstructing grammar, may be impossible because it was never structured that way to begin with. Then there's the possibility that we simply lack enough data. If the Indus people wrote on materials that have long since perished, such as palm leaves, wooden tablets, or parchment, then the inscriptions we have today are merely fragments of a much larger writing tradition. If most of their written records have been lost to time, we may never have the necessary evidence to reconstruct their language. But the greatest challenge of all may be confirmation. Even if AI produces a working translation, how will we verify that it's correct? How will we test whether this symbol means king and that symbol means river? With Egyptian and Mesopotamian texts, we could cross-check translations between multiple sources, ensuring accuracy. But the Indus script exists only in short isolated inscriptions, meaning there may never be enough material to confirm a translation with absolute certainty. And yet, the mystery continues to captivate. Few puzzles in history have remained unsolved for this long. The Indus script has outlasted empires, endured revolutions, and resisted the greatest minds in linguistics, archaeology, and artificial intelligence. It is a testament to how much we still don't know about the ancient world. But one thing is certain. If we do crack the Indus script, it will change history. It could reveal the laws and rulers of the Indus cities, the beliefs and rituals of its people, the trade records of a forgotten empire. It could finally allow us to hear the voices of the Indus Valley, not just through their cities, their trade, or their artifacts, but in their own words. So what happens next? Will the $1 million challenge push scholars and AI researchers toward a breakthrough? Will a future excavation reveal a long-lost bilingual inscription? Or will the Indus script remain one of history's greatest, most enduring mysteries? The answer is out there, and one day, perhaps sooner than we expect, we may finally read the lost words of the Indus Valley Civilization.